I hadn't ever taken lyrical influence from other art forms in the past. I'd only written from like my personal perspective, even if it was something like, political or social. I was still kind of writing from my perspective and not being inspired by fiction. I had read The Dark Tower by Stephen King, and that blew my mind in such a way that I just felt like creatively juiced up from that. And I was thinking like, okay, so I want to like be inspired by this and contribute something to this world in my art form, which is music, and like what would be like a soundtrack to that series. And it just kind of spun out from there. So then we're like, okay, we wrote something that was inspired by a series of books. Then I wrote something that was inspired by books and film in Creatures of the Night. When we first started putting that song together musically, I immediately, this sounds ridiculous, but it was like, this is like horny vaudevillian vampires. And that's what it's like, the vibe was, and kind of circus-y too. And so I just ran with that in terms of not only the music side, but also lyrically. And I was heavily inspired by Lost Boys, by Dracula, by Nosferatu, Fright Night, and then Across the Frozen Sea. That was one line that I took from Andrew's original demo. I wrote the rest of it, but that phrase, it just screamed. I initially thought of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And then that also got me thinking about Edward Scissorhands, which is definitely a riff on Frankenstein. And so I wrote my own original story that was inspired by both of those for that song. And then we're like, well, we have a concept album. And so then I was like, well, let's add a cover that is also about a work of fiction in the Ramones' Pet Sematary. And so that's obviously very different than anything we've done in the past as well.
Very fun to come at all these songs from a similar concept lyrically. I think you hear it musically as well, even though there's sort of this gothic horror movie macabre vibe. There's a different vibe for each piece.
Lyrically, I think you kind of started the ship off with, where we're at with the wheel, and then because all we had was a riff of Andrew's, then we kind of took that one lyric, the Across the Frozen Sea, that he had in his demo of that, and then built around that, and then we kind of had a theme going. It was just an interesting process the way we got there with it.